Hello everyone, my name is Riris Andriani Prambudi. I'm from Vocational Accounting Department at State University of Jakarta. Today I'm gonna present my thesis about the comparative analysis of bank health level before and after initial public offering review using risk-based bank rating study case on Bank Multilateral Sentosa. And the next slide is the background of my research. The chapter 1. The world of banking is known to have a strategic role in moving the wheels of country economy. The assessment of public trust in bank is found in the bank management system and the integrity of the bank performance. And Bank Multilateral Sentosa main director, who names Dani Hartono, said the IPO was set to stretch the company capital to support the bank future development and fulfill the minimum bid of capital requirement of 3 trillion as required by the OJK through concerning consolidation of commercial bank. Bank Multilateral Sentosa conducted an IPO by officially listing its name on the Indonesia Stock Exchange on June 2020. In Bank Indonesia regulation, it is stated that banks are required to evaluate the bank health level using the risk bank rating approach. And the next is formulation of the problem. The first is what the health level of Bank Multilateral Sentosa before and after the initial public offering when viewed from the risk profile picture. The two is what is health level of Bank Multilateral Sentosa before and after the initial public offering when viewed from the good corporate governance picture. And the third is what is the health level of Bank Multilateral Sentosa before and after the initial public offering when viewed from the profitability picture. The last is what is health level of Bank Multilateral Sentosa before and after the initial public offering when viewed from the capital picture. And the next is the purpose of the research. This is the purpose of the research. And this is to knowing the level of bank health of Bank Multilateral Sentosa before and after the initial public offering when viewed from the risk profile picture, good corporate governance, profitability factors, and the last is capital factors. And the next slide is benefit of research. This is the benefit of research. For writers, is a means to implement the knowledge gained in lecture and add to author insight and knowledge regarding measure the bank health of a bank and the initial public offering. And the second benefit research for bank to provide additional information in knowing the comparative bank health of bank before and after the IPO and can be used as a reference in making decision. And the last is for academics. It is hoped that the scientific work will be useful as information and be used as a reference search by future author for the future development. And the next is the chapter 2, theoretical study. Definition of bank. Bank is a financial institution that has the function of being depository, channeling funds to people in need, providing various financial services as well as executive payment traffic, monetary stabilizer, and also dynamic economic growth. And this is the types of bank classification of bank types based on business activities, ownership partner, their status, and how to determine the price. And the next slide is banking function. Banking function is divided into three, namely, this is an agent of trust, agent of development, and agent of service. The next is the theoretical study of IPO. IPO is activity of offering securities carried out by used to sell securities to the public based on the procedure regulated in law and implementing regulation. Every company knows this initial public offering has certainly considered the various benefit and also consequence. And this is about bank health level. It's mean the bank can carry out of the banking operation normally and can fulfill the obligation in which are by applicable regulation. And this is about bank health rating. According to Pradipta 2021, the bank health assessment system is the best on providing a reward system. The composite rating is a bank is classified into 5 rating categories as follows. Composite rating 1 is a very healthy bank condition. Composite rating 2 as a healthy bank condition. Composite rating 3 as a fairly healthy bank condition. Composite rating 4 is unwell healthy bank condition. And composite rating 5 is unhealthy bank condition. And the next is theoretical study of RBBR approach. Assessment of the bank health level using a risk approach is carried based on the assessment analysis and include factors such as risk profile from net non-performing loan and loan to deposit ratio, good corporate governance from self-assessment, profitability from return on asset and net interest margin ratio, and the last is capital from capital adequacy ratio. And the next slide is frame of thinking. This is the framework of thinking contains the outer argument in the front of schematics, which is based on the theoretical studies that the author has previously described. And the next is research methodology. Place and time research was conducted at Bank Multimedia Sentosa for the 2020 and 2021 periods, and the research process starts from May 2022 until February 2023, and writing method is using quantitative descriptive method. And the next is data collection technique. Is using the documentary and library technique, and data analysis technique is used risk-based bank rating approach, which consists of several ratios derived from 4 factors, namely risk profile, good corporate governance, capitability, capitals, and it will be processed in several ratios. And then next is chapter 3. This is the case description. Bank Multimedia Sentosa, or well known as Bank Mas, is national private bank that is conducting an IPO in mid-2021, to be exact, in June 30, 2021. This was done because of the OJK stimulus concerning consolidation of commercial banks, which is the regulation contains a rule that core capital of each commercial bank is required to have 3 trillion at the end of 2022, and by the end of 2021, a minimum is 2 trillion must be met. But in March 2021, Bank Mas still only had a core capital of 1.81 trillion. Therefore, Bank Mas is carried an IPO is one of the effort to meet the minimum core capital regulation for commercial bank. And this is the 85%, the allocation funds from the IPO will be used to strengthen capital in developing credit distribution, and 50% is used to develop the company digital banking service. And the next is the case analysis. This is the case analysis of the bank health level in review using risk profile factor. So this is the calculation of non-performing loan before and after IPO, and both of them receiving the healthy predicate. So the next is the chart of movement. This is the chart of movement from credit risk. This is before and after IPO, which has decreased of percentage of non-performing loan by 0.68%. And the next is the calculation from liquidity risk. The liquidity risk using loan to deposit ratio. This is the loan to deposit ratio calculation before and after IPO, and both of them receive a very healthy predicate, that's composite 1. And the next, this is the charts of movement of loan to deposit ratio, which has increased before and after initial public offering the percentage of all loan to deposit ratio by 0.52%. And the next is case analysis of the bank health level in review using good corporate governance. This is the self-assessment from the Bankmas 2020. There is before IPO. And this is the self-assessment from Bankmas after IPO 2021. And the next, this is you can see from the table. If you look at two assessment table, this is the bank health level before and after, which assessment from good corporate government factor is get the same rating threshold, namely composite 2, that means getting title healthy. This is stable condition of the bank health level of bank reflect that Bankmas can carry out the principle of good corporate governance by the province set by Bank Indonesia, so that bank management can carry out the good banking management, governance, and alike people expectation with the responsibility of bank management towards investor, because they can maintain the healthy predicate that has previously been obtained and is not affected even through this in IPO even. And the third, this is the case analysis of bank health level in review by profitability factor. This is the calculation of return on asset ratio before and after IPO. And the both of them receive the fairly healthy predicate. This is a composite 3. And the next, this is the charts of movement. You can see this. This is a ratio from return on asset charts movement before and after initial public offering has increased the percentage of return on asset by 0.43%. You can see this of the increase of chart of movement. And the next is this is the case analysis from using profitability factor. On the other process is net interest margin ratio. You can see this. This is the net interest margin calculation before and after IPO, and both of them receive a healthy predicate. It's mean get a composite rating number 2. And the next is this is the chart of movement. This is before and after initial public offering. Net interest margin ratio has increased the percentage of by 0.80%. This is, you can see this is the increase of net interest margin ratio. And the last is the case analysis of bank health level before and after initial public offering review by using capital factor. This is the capital adequacy ratio calculation before and after the IPO, and both of them receive a very healthy predicate. So there is a gap composite rating number 1. And the next is the charts of movement. This is the charts of movement of IPO using capital adequacy ratio. This has increased the percentage of capital adequacy ratio by 6.52%. You can see this is increased the movement of the chart. And the next chapter, or this is the last chapter, I think. Chapter 4, this is the conclusion of my research. The first conclusion, the assessment of the bank health level of Bank Multiara Sentosa before and after the IPO when viewed from the risk profile picture provided by the non-performing loan and loan to deposit ratio show that there is a difference but not significant because there is still in the same category of bank health rating, but there is only difference in the percentage ratio. And the second conclusion, the assessment of the bank health level of Bank Multiara Sentosa before and after the IPO, when viewed from the good corporate governance factors, show no difference at all, which means that the health condition is stable. There is the same rating category, namely with the title of healthy, and it gets composite number 2. And the next, this is the third conclusion of my research, assessment of the bank health level of Bank Multiara Sentosa before and after the IPO when viewed from the profitability factor provided by ratio of return on asset and net interest margin show that there is a difference in the increase but not significant because it's still in the same category of bank health rating, and this is only have a different percentage by increase the ratio. And the conclusion, the last conclusion, I think, assessment of the bank health level of Bank Multiara Sentosa before and after the IPO viewed from the capital factor, which is provided by capital adequacy ratio, show that there is a difference but not significant because there is still in the same category of bank health rating, and there is the only increase the percentage ratio. And the last part, this is the chapter 4. This is the sizes for banks. For the result of this study can be used by banks to stretch their reputation so that the bank value is considered good and the bank management is expected to become consistent optimist, improving performance, obtain a better level of bank health in the future. And the second suggests for governor, provide adequate oversight by implementing risk-based control. And the last is suggests for future researchers. The result of the study can be used as a reference, and future researchers can expand and scope of research using other financial ratio indicator. Okay, this is the last of my presentation. I think this is enough. I'm sorry if there's mistake. Thank you for your attention.